Dear Freedom Writer, Letter 4, An Infinite Loop of Grief. Dear Freedom Writer, what's more marvelous than living in your country, being among your loved ones, and sharing joyful memories full of lasting peace? While we Palestinians certainly live in our country, we lack peace and human rights. We live our lives surrounded by war, though we want peace. That is why we resist. Our home, Gaza, feels like a 365 square kilometer jail cell where we can only dream of living the normal lives that everyone else lives. Even for the children of Gaza, life is different. They have had their innocence stolen. Children's kites are considered terroristic weapons, akin to rockets fired at Israel. After their first airstrike, children learn to be fearful of any noise. A sound as simple as a car driving by can strike fear into the heart of a Palestinian. Could it be a rocket? A missile? No matter the age, these are the thoughts that go through our minds. This is not only a war waged by rockets or missiles. Each day the attacks become more insidious, cutting off access to medicine, food, and necessary resources. They steal the necessities of life from us, slowly choking the Gaza Strip to death. Since the beginning, the Palestinian regions have been isolated, making it impossible to reach them. We cannot escape the terror nor share our experiences with the world. It's forbidden to travel anywhere. The only Gazan airport was destroyed, and we are not allowed to reconstruct it. There is no seaport to explore the outside world by boat, only a fishing port to feed the hungry. However, these boats cannot even travel 6 miles without being hunted by gunboats. These restrictions prevent anyone from traveling abroad for tourism, proper education, or medical purposes. Can you imagine dying alone while trying to seek medical care? Taking your last breath without the comfort of family? Without your husband, wife, sons, or daughters? The loneliness is unimaginable. There are crippling restrictions on the goods we export. Palestinian fruits and vegetables are held at the border for months, rotting away until they can no longer be sold. No fuel can enter the strip, so electricity is scarce. We get at most 8 hours of electricity per day. We never have a full day without electricity cuts. Not even schools or hospitals have that luxury. It may be cut in the middle of a surgery, and with no fuel or generators, the patients are stuck between life and death. Without electricity, Gaza becomes a dark, abandoned tomb. May 10th, 2 a.m. The 28th day of Ramadan, a month when Muslims fast as worship, was the beginning of one of the fiercest aggressions ever held on the Strip in 15 years. 260 people were killed, 65 of them innocent children. 260 dreams were ended without hesitation. About 1,900 people were injured and 1,447 homes turned into dust. Every memory from their homes disappeared. Each laugh the walls hugged faded away, as well as those who laughed inside. All of this senseless violence took place in just 11 days. We felt the second hand of the clock struggling to move. It seemed to have stopped on the first day of the bombing, and wouldn't move freely until it was all over. Time had lost its meaning. 8:15 a.m. That first day I prepared myself to sleep after having suhoor, a meal before sunrise to prepare for fasting. I hadn't slept well despite my tiredness. It felt like something was about to happen, but I couldn't tell what, so I just skimmed through social media. I clicked on a live video of hundreds of Palestinians gathered at the Al-Aqsa Mosque waiting for the army to make way for some Israelis to celebrate Jerusalem Day. They celebrate this by attempting to pray at Al-Aqsa Mosque, Islam's third holiest site, which is a historically disputed site for Jewish people, though it is technically illegal for them to be there. This site is too sacred to us, so a clique of determined souls gave up everything to resist. I watched all this, shedding tears, listening to the soldiers' silence, waiting for their signal. 8:40 a.m. The signal was given, then clashes erupted without any weapons but stones. The Palestinian doves defended against sound bombs, tear gas, light bombs, rubber bullets, and live bullets from the crowd. The Israeli government disrupted the internet network for the whole city to stop any attempt of spreading truth to others. I saw everything. The resistance of Palestinians, the elderly and the women hiding inside, praying for victory, bombs, sounds, and soldiers' boots, the mosque's glass shattering, and the calls of the injured for help. I did nothing but cry and pray. There were journalists transmitting news there, but they were shot at. Once spotted, instinctively, I turned the screen recording on, my way of giving a hand to spread the truth everywhere I can reach. 12 p.m. After hours of continuous raids, I stayed awake to witness everything. I fell asleep, holding the phone like a newborn baby, clutching his mother, sobbing, begging that this raid would fail. 4 p.m. I woke up and immediately checked the news. The raid failed, and no celebration would be held in the mosque or Jerusalem. I was happy and felt like I had a weight lifted off of me, thanking God for this win. 6 p.m. Suddenly, my family and I felt the floor shake, and we watched the sky turn to black as the sounds of bombs mounting got closer. There was news of bombing in Gaza, as if it wasn't enough to suffer under the restrictions of a pandemic. For 11 days, Gaza was filled with the screams of men, the corpses of unknown babies, destroyed towers and houses, distressed calls of paramedics and firemen, the frightened faces of fathers worrying for their families, mothers standing in the kitchen under the rockets to feed their children, sleeping until sunrise with headphones in our ears so we never miss a moment of news, check-ins on loved ones with no guarantee that it wouldn't be the last time we would speak to them. This is the story of 11 days. We died 1,000,000 times every moment as each rocket exploded above us. May 21st, 2 a.m. The curtain fell on the horrible violence, leaving scars on our hearts that will last forever. There's a new birth for each survivor with a longing for lost innocence. In the end, it's not the end. It's an infinite loop full of grief. Bombs are still above us, but we'll still live, love, and dream that all our hopes will be realized. So I ask you, Freedom Writer, how can we escape this infinite loop of grief? Sincerely, a peace seeker. Response 4, an infinite loop of grief. Dear peace seeker, if we were able to sit down and break bread with our enemies, what would we say to each other? Could we get to know each other on a human level? I didn't know how to do this until I had a life-changing experience where I was challenged to confront those who I thought were my enemies. Now, I would offer them the biggest piece of bread and listen to what they have to say. I would probably learn that their fears are my fears and their dreams are my dreams. Despite all the suffering, there has been progress in bringing mortal enemies together at the table of peace and trying to form a solution. There is a longing in many people for peace, justice, and overcoming division. Reading your story, I've been tremendously moved by the scenes of war, destruction, violence, anger, anguish, and hatred. Unfortunately, the seeds of discrimination are sown by many. I think back to my experience in the U.S. Air Force, where we were taught survival skills in briefings before deployment to the Middle East. Don't get caught off guard, because if you do, they will take you captive. This was drilled into me repeatedly during my training. Pictures of people of Middle Eastern descent covered the screen as if it were a most wanted poster. Then the parade of reinforcing images of gloom and doom. Bombs, bombs, more bombs. Don't show the soles of your feet. Bombs again, bloody violent death. The message was clear. I should have a mortal fear of anyone who looks like they are Middle Eastern. They will capture, torture, and brutally kill me. I was a confident airman, and I took notes profusely, trying to study the faces as they kept flashing across the screen. People who look like this are the enemy. They want me dead. I can't trust anyone who looks like this. The repetitive nature of the imagery was designed to deeply imprint the message of fear in me. This kind of judgment was never taught in my home, nor was it ever taught in room 203. Yet the military intelligence personnel kept drilling, pushing, and force feeding me biased information. My sister says I was digitally programmed like an after-school special. Training complete, I was now empowered to survive because I knew who the enemy was, what they looked like, and how to protect myself from them. I packed my bags and walked across the tarmac, ready for takeoff into the unknown abyss of sand. I was given an assignment where I would see this promise of imminent death come to life. I was assigned to a job in mortuary. I would see the bodies of our own U.S. soldiers and our allies. I thought I was prepared for this role, but death took a toll on me. I was drained physically, emotionally, and mentally. One day, I went outside the barbed wire into the danger zone, and I was startled by what I saw. People that looked just like those who were presented in the survival videos. But nobody was there to capture me, torture me, or kill me. They were shopping, laughing, being happy, and living their best lives. I was very confused. I started to question who the enemy or insurgents really were. If they look like normal people, then there's nothing to differentiate friend from enemy. I carried out the rest of my detail with very few incidents, but returned home with the complex that created such a deep divide in me. Instead of seeing them as like-minded and human as I am, I continued to see them all as an enemy in my head. I believed this was going to protect me from them. At least that's what I told myself. Fast forward a few years to another sandy place, this time the shores of Long Beach, where I was on a mission to help train the next generation of Freedom Rider teachers. I learned who the members of my group would be and was immediately alarmed when I saw I would be working with teachers from the Middle East, specifically Palestinians and Israelis. I instantly felt the heat come over me, my anxiety rising like a phoenix. The military survival programming immediately returned to the forefront of my mind. I remember that I had to keep telling myself to stop and breathe when I caught a glimpse of their smiling, welcoming faces as they walked into the room. I instantly placed them in a slideshow in my head, just like the briefing videos. It played over and over again, and I had to shake my head to scramble the photos that I had compiled like a criminal lineup. I was rocking back and forth to soothe the sounds of incoming missiles that were ringing in my ears. I kept reminding myself not to take cover. How am I in an active war zone in my head, a war against someone I don't even know? In a room full of joy and happiness, I stood out like a sore thumb. There was no hiding the fear and paranoia of my face when Miss G looked my way. Miss G reassured me that everything would be okay, and that if I felt overwhelmed at any point, I could stop and take a break. I forced myself to keep going because I knew these teachers had traveled a long way to our training. The conflict between what I had been taught and what I was here to teach today was jarring. But finally, I got out of survival mode and started helping my Palestinian partner create a coat of arms that would help us to get to know his likes and dislikes. I heard about his children, his love of soccer, his passion for Bollywood music, and his future dreams. As he smiled and laughed, I realized that I had finally found the enemy. It was within me instead of across from me. Then the white flag of surrender rose within me. I found that we're all just human. I found the things we had in common. We laugh the same, our smiles are similar, our troubles are the same here as he had abroad. We talk about our love of hip-hop and Tupac and our hopes for a better world. He made me realize that when we bleed, no matter what our race or nationality, we all bleed the same color. I learned to unlearn the lies that I was taught. Now we are friends who overcame the things that divided us. We validated one another's stories and realized that we are stronger together. That day in Long Beach was a turning point in my life. I learned something new about myself, and I was able to wipe away the programming of discrimination that I received before my military deployment. Instead of balling up a fist of imposed hate and a closed mind, I opened my hand and my heart to receive love. Now when I see anyone from the Middle East, I see my friends, I see love, and I see hope. Most of all, I miss them. Now I am deployed in a new battlefield, well armed to help others combat hatred, discrimination, and bigotry. The weapons in this new battle are love, awareness, and understanding. By writing your story, you are sharing your contribution toward the change you want to see. I have no easy answers, but I am united with you in your courage and hope of creating a world where all humans live together with peace, dignity, human rights, and education. Together we will shatter the infinite loop of grief. Sincerely, Peacemaker.